at the same time I'm on Zoom conference while waiting for others to join me. I'll just make use of this time to practice on my own. Okay, so I'm gonna do the part 2 question right now. It's describe. Okay, I'll just announce the question here. Describe a program or app in your computer or phone. And the bullet points, we have 4 bullet points here. What the app is, when, where you found it, how you use it, and how you feel about it. Okay, so my speaking will start now, and I'll set a timer for myself, and my 2 minutes speaking starts now. I have downloaded a lot of apps on my phone, and all of them, I tried them. Some of them are good, some of them are not bad, but it's not just my some of them are not my favorite. But this app that I'm going to describe right now is an app that I use for editing videos for my YouTube channel. And the name of this app is UCut. So UCut, it's written as you, the pronoun you, and then cut as you cut with a knife or with scissors. So it is written in a way that U is Y, the letter Y is on uppercase, and then OU, they are on the lowercase, and then cut, actually U cut is one word, but cut is written as C is on the uppercase, and then UT are on the lowercase. So that's how, and then you look at it, the logo has got a bright orange color, and one with the color, it's already my favorite, bright colors, especially orange. I love this color, and I think it's because it reflects a lot about my personality. I always love to look at the bright side of life. And I downloaded this app, I think a year ago, and I found it on Google Apps, as you can find a lot of apps on that website. And like I said, I mentioned at the outset, I use it for editing videos for my YouTube because I have a channel. Okay, my time is up. I couldn't even answer all those questions. Anyways, now I'll give you another. It's still part 2 questions. This is just my practice so that I would know. Okay, so my second question is still part 2. Describe a party you enjoyed. And then your bullet points, whose party was it, and what it was celebrating, and who went to it, and how you feel about it. So there are at least there are again 4 bullet points. All right, so I think I'm gonna start now, and I'll time myself again 2 minutes. Okay, my 2 minutes speaking start now. I've been to many events in my life, and I enjoyed very much some of them. Some of them were not bad, but this particular event that I went to last year was my sister's wedding. And you know, like, it was a happy occasion, and my family, my closest relatives, and my friends were there. Myself, because I live now in Canada, so I had to travel to the Philippines with my husband, and this is really interesting because I had to go to LA. I could just go directly to Manila. My flight can just you know, have a direct destination, but my sister, who lives in California, she's not comfortable traveling alone, so I had to go there and pick her up, and then together from LA airport we flew to Cebu. That's one of the cities in the Philippines. And during the wedding, this was really the highlight, and there were bloopers too. So the highlight was the singing of a wedding song that was sung by a close friend of my sister. And while she was walking down the aisle, and she was wearing this beautiful wedding dress. The color was white, and it had a Spanish touch on it. And Spanish, we were, if you know our history, we were colonized by Spaniards. So we still have that kind of culture that we. Okay, so that's about it. Anyways, that was really fast. Okay, another that I can practice speaking is, I also had a YouTube video about this already, but I'm gonna repeat it because it's a good exercise for my speaking. This set of questions have part 1, part 2, and part 3. So let's see, I'll have to give my best shot. All right, part 1 question, are you working or studying? I am doing both actually. I am working and at the same time studying. I study IELTS course, and this is now what I am so busy of. On top of that, I have work, as I mentioned, and family and everything. What makes you decide to study IELTS? Well, I should say that I'm the kind of person who doesn't settle for less. I know that I can speak English. I'm here now in Canada and I'm working, so you can maybe say that, well, what do you need IELTS for? But I am the person who likes to improve all the time. I always feel that there is always room for improvement, and in this case, my English language proficiency. Okay, so where are you studying? I study online, and I'm glad I took this course, or I registered this course last year, and until now I'm still enjoying it. What's the most challenging part in studying IELTS? Personally, the challenging part is to find time to study. I would love to study every day, at least like maybe an hour, but I can't do that because I have other responsibilities. And okay, that's for the part 1 questions. Next topic, sports. Oh no, it's still part 1, but a different topic. So this one about sports. Do you like sports? Oh, it's a shame that I must say I don't like sports. It's not my cup of tea, but I do watch, sports games and competitions, something like that from time to time. Like, for example, maybe 6 years ago, I went to this hockey game. And then my recent, involvement with sports was last week. I watched this basketball game on TV. Okay, next question. Did you play sport when you were younger? Yes, I did. Yeah, it's surprising because I grew up with 2 brothers. And so we often played basketball, and in fact, we had a basketball court in our house. And so, what's the most popular sport in the Philippines? The most popular sport in the Philippines, I should say, basketball. And the reason why I say that, you can tell that this is just an average, that every other family, every other home, or house, for example, they have, a basketball court, whether it's small, it's in the living room or one corner of the house or in the garage. Basketball is that's how basketball is popular in the Philippines. Topic about shopping. Do you like shopping? Yes, I do. I really love shopping. And the reason is that when I feel bored, and I always get bored even if I'm busy, and I view shopping as my retail therapy. Do you like shopping alone or with people? I prefer it with some friends or with my family. I I enjoy it more when I shop with my family or friends. Do you ever shop online? I do actually. I tried Amazon, eBay. In fact, during the pandemic, I always do shopping online. Last week, I had this deliver a big box of um, computer, and yeah, and even our groceries we shop online. Do you think men and women have different opinion about shopping? Oh, definitely. Because in my personal experience, my husband hates shopping. He always says it's a waste of time. That's his opinion about shopping. But me as a woman, I love going out there, not necessarily buying something, but just to look at those wardrobes and shoes. It makes me happy. It's not a waste of time to me. Do you think, man? Okay. All right, here we go for part 2 question. Describe a subject taught in your school. And your bullet points. What subject it was, who taught it, how the teacher taught it, what you learned from the subject, how did you feel about her, about the subject. Okay, so today I'm going to describe a subject that was taught to me when I was in high school, or maybe also in my primary school. The subject was science, and it was taught by my teacher, a woman teacher, and her name was Erlinda Reyes. And if you notice, the last name Reyes is a Spanish name, and it means kings, plural form of rey, which is in English meaning king. And Reyes is the plural of rey and king, kings. All right, I think that's just a side note. And so the teacher, Mrs. Erlinda Reyes, taught science in a way that it was easy. It made it easy for the students to understand and to even like or love the subject. And the reason why I said that is because this teacher, when she noticed that some students were not participating at all, or were not in the mood for being there or for learning, then she would go to some and say, okay, what's the problem? Are you look sad, or you look not in the mood? And then when the student says that, oh, I'm just, I'm hungry, and then she would go back to her desk and get something, and then would go back to the student and give the student a pack of crackers, and she would say, okay, here you go, you can eat, and maybe I'm hoping that you will feel better. And then she would start again, and okay, so are you okay now? You feel better? That's how she taught this subject. And like when the teacher tries to make connection with the students, it's easier. You will love that teacher, and you will love the subject as well. So that's and the thing that I learned in that subject, this is really interesting, because before that I didn't know this. was the component of water. And you know, water, when you write it in a scientific way, I don't know if that's the term, H2O. So H stands for hydrogen, and 2 meaning water has got 2 hydrogen, and then O without any number next to it, it means 1. So 1 particle of water has got 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So I thought that was really interesting. And so another thing, at first, well, for many times, for many years, I think learning science was so difficult for me before that teacher, before I was in that class, Mrs. Erlinda Reyes' class. I really did not like science at all. To me, that was so confusing, that was not interesting, but with her, it was easy. It was, you know, it was the most interesting subject that I'd ever learned. So that's okay. Time is up. I think I spoke a lot there because, you know, I couldn't set my timer right away. Okay, so for follow-up questions about education. In your opinion, what makes a good student? In my opinion, a good student is diligent. What diligent is, when the student gets up early in the morning, even though she may have stayed up late at night because she had to finish her homework or project, but the next morning, because she has classes, then she has to wake up early and then get there prepared and participating. And you know, a student who cares a lot about her duties as a student, and also who is conscientiously participating in the classroom. He wouldn't just sit there, or she wouldn't just sit there in the corner and, you know, like yawn and yawn endlessly. Okay, so what role do teachers have in the classroom? To me, teachers are managers at the same time. You teach, and at the same time you manage the class with students who's got different personalities. And what you do is you have to make sure that your students are not distracted. I remember when I was in a course and my professor was explaining about something, and I was listening, but I was not making eye contact with her, and I was just glued to my tablet because I was listening, and at the same time I was taking notes. And so I was like busy and just, you know, looking at my screen and typing and everything. And my teacher was just, you know, discussing, walking around, and eventually I could see her in my peripheral vision that she was coming toward me. And I was just, you know, I was just ignoring her. I kept, you know, taking notes and from what she explained to us. And then she came to me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh," and this time I just pretended that I was like, "Okay, I'm busy." And I said, "Oh, I was actually taking note of what you said," and because she thought I was distracted, so she used this proximity control to, you know, make sure that I would listen to her discussion, and also at the same time I wouldn't distract others. So that's the teacher's role, not only teaching, but also managing the whole class. Next question. Do you think computers would one day replace teachers in the future? Well, it's in the horizon, I should say, especially during this pandemic. Most of the students, they learn from their computers. They learn them they learn the lessons from home, right, in their desk. And as I can see, and this is global, it's not only one group of people, but I can see that people in general, they're liking it because they see that it's saving them time and energy. So what could be better than that? Uh, I'm sure in the future people would just say, okay, can we just learn everything from the computer? We don't need human teachers. And which is sad because computers, they can't make connections. Like when I mentioned about this teacher in the past that she taught the subject in a way that she made connections with her students. So yeah, it's possible that in the future we will have computers as our teachers. How has teaching changed in the Philippines these last few decades? Oh, it has changed tremendously, I should say. The reason why is I heard my parents, and that's when they talked about how they learned in the past, when during their school years. My mother especially, she said that, oh, we just had like pen and papers, notebooks, we go to the classroom and that's it. But nowadays we have lots of gadgets, we have electronic devices, and it's just, yeah, if you imagine that 40 years ago, that's kind of like surreal. It's not, you won't even think that this day would come with this computer age and technology. So it has, but I should say that this is a good development because you can learn fast. When you, for example, when you want to look up a specific word that you don't understand and you want to enrich your vocabulary for the language, okay, let's say English, you want to learn English, and you need to know the meaning of understand, and the teacher would say, okay, this word understand, and the students would say, oh, what does understand mean? And then the teacher would just say, oh, look it up, Google it. And you have your cell phone, you have your laptop, and most schools now, they have internet, so it's easy. But 20 years ago, that was not possible. So it has a huge change nowadays. Okay, what's the difference between the way children and adults learn? The difference. Well, I think the difference is children, they learn, or they are more dependent on their teachers, or let's say parents maybe. But adults, they are resourceful. They don't depend on their teachers for everything, or to their parents for everything. For example, the child would like to know what's the word example. The word example. Let's say they're learning in English, and the teacher has to explain to the children that, okay, example is this. This is the meaning, and this is how you use it in a sentence. But with adults, if adult students don't understand the word example, the teacher would just say, look it up. Go Google it, or whatever resources you can get to understand the meaning. And also, let's say the teacher wanna give lessons for chapter whatsoever, chapter 6, and the teacher would just say, okay, class, read the whole chapter, and next week we're gonna discuss that, and I want everyone to have a whole grasp of the whole chapter 6 so that you can contribute what you think about that subject. That's the difference. Children are more on, they're being spoon fed, but adults are more resourceful. They can, they can learn uh, on themselves. I mean, they don't have to be dependent what the teachers would explain about that subject. They can also learn it by themselves by looking it up, by reading their own books. Yeah, so I think that's about it. And now that's the end of my YouTube. Hello there. Okay, bye for now, guys.